First on the agenda is Hillside Court. It's a public hearing.
This is a public hearing for a bond return. I have no comments on this.
Rich?
The engineering department does not have an objection to returning the bond.
Pat?
No issues with the bond return, Mr. Chairman.
This is an open public hearing on Hillside Court. Anyone in the audience wish to be heard? If not, can we get a motion to close the hearing?
Being there's no public comment, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we get a motion to recommend to the town board bond return?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
TCSB Mayorpike Ranch Lot 1, Michael?
All necessary variances were granted by the zoning board of appeals and are noted on the plat. All my zoning comments have been addressed.
One for us and one for the camera. One hits that
camera. Rich?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there are still comments that need to be addressed with this document and with this submittal. So I recommend that the engineer or the applicant's representative come in and talk about this. I know that the project is in front of the New York City DEP for stormwater approvals, so they still have a little bit of time before they actually have to get approvals that way.
Pat?
Mr. Chairman, this was before you in August. You sent this over to the zoning board. They acted on their variances. I'm sorry, before you, early August, the zoning board acted on the variances in the end of August. You sent this over to the ECB. The plan has been modified to eliminate the wetland boundary encroachment that existed previously at the request of the ECB. At the last meeting, the applicant addressed a host of issues. We had about a dozen of them. All of them have been addressed by the applicant. And the next step in your process, Mr. Chairman, is to schedule the public hearing on this. Whether or not Rich's issues require you to withhold that is something we can discuss this evening.
Okay, you look to, you got something you want to say?
I'm here to answer any questions the board has. For the record, my name is Matt Gironda, here on behalf of the applicant from Insight Engineering, Surveying Landscape Architecture. I'm, again, here to answer any questions the board may have regarding the outstanding issues that they feel need to be addressed. Obviously, we're here tonight to try to schedule a public hearing. We feel that any issues that are continued to be outstanding can be easily addressed in future submittals. And again, we're here tonight just simply schedule a public hearing.
Could you just show us the changes that were made as a result of the ECB
Essentially,
on the site plan?
things that have changed. There was previously stormwater basin proposed.
Hang on just a minute.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh. Thank you.
It's taped there too, so.
Can we move the map to the?
Yeah.
All disturbance within the wetland buffer, the DEC wetland adjacent area, was removed from the plan. There was previously preliminary stormwater basin shown within the buffer. All disturbance was removed within the buffer to propose infiltration systems for each building under the parking. There's an infiltration system proposed under this portion of Route 6 retail parking lot and an infiltration system proposed under both sides of the PCSB parking lot, which will handle all stormwater runoff generated by all the proposed impervious surfaces and eliminating any disturbance within the buffer.
Those systems, there's no shared systems then for stormwater between the two
There
as there were
is.
before?
There is shared systems. A portion of runoff from the runoff from the stormwater from the building and from a portion of the parking lot will be treated on an infiltration system under the parking lot here for Route 6 retail. A portion of the parking for Route 6 retail
will be conveyed and directed into a stormwater treatment system underneath the parking for PCSB. All of PCSB's runoff will be treated under their parking lot.
So we'll need cross easements for that, correct?
And just so the board knows, one of my major comments is that the applicant keeps submitting this document referring to another drawing, and the comment from the engineering department is, I need this to be a standalone document. I don't care what's going on in site two. Give me everything on this site. Show me what you got. And on the other side, subsequently, on the next site, the next application, vice versa, right? So they're saying, oh yeah, you gotta go back to site one. Doesn't work that way. I want what should be in the file for this documentation is everything for it, not a reference to another site plan.
Is that in relation to the stormwater in
In
particular?
relation to stormwater, sewer, and I don't think water, but stormwater and sewer.
The stormwater,
If I could point out, there is a portion of the stormwater conveyance system for PCSB. Like I said, stormwater runoff generated by the Route 6 retail parking will be captured, conveyed through essentially the entire building, and this portion of the roof area will be captured and treated in the system. The remaining portion of the parking lot will be captured in these catch basins, conveyed into these infiltration systems. So there is a portion of utilities that are relevant for Putnam County Savings Bank, which are actually on the Route 6 retail project. Again, you know, there is a reference to more detailed information provided on these site plans, but there is improvements that are relevant to be shown on this drawing.
Normal process?
Well, as Rich indicated, so everything that they are committing to on the adjacent property should be on a site plan for the PCSB plan. So as you just heard, some of it's there, but not all of it. So all the documentation relating to that adjacent property and the stormwater improvements need to be on these drawings, all references, details, notes, conditions, and of course the easements when you're ready to actually approve the thing.
Right.
So if any of that's
I mean,
missed.
the easements obviously will be worked out and legal instruments
Yep.
will be provided. But again, you know, the improvements that are relevant to be shown as a part of this site that capture and convey stormwater to PCSB are shown on this plan.
Including all the details?
Yes.
You mentioned that there were things that were not on.
Again, this is typically, all this is a typical catch basin and typical drainage pipe detail. That's on both sets of drawings.
There's also the sanitary piece of it, the force mains, all the drawings that I was provided to for review, all go refer to another site plan.
Hey, Rich.
Those drawings should not be there.
Rich,
Yes,
why
sir.
don't you just take a moment and tell us what you're talking about? But the drainage and stuff.
I don't know what drawings is, sorry.
This is the PCSB site.
So it says here, refer to site plans for Route 6 retail, which is where they're talking about information that's on this, that's affecting the PCSB, is saying refer to this site plan. What I'm saying is, that shouldn't be here. Everything you should be shown here, all the details that are on here that impact this site should be shown in this package. So when you look at this 50 years from now, I'm looking at the entire package and not trying to find a second site plan package for one adjacent to me. So I'm kind of thinking more in the future also, but it's also for a full review. One aspect is, there's also a sanitary, do you have the sanitary drawing?
Those are going to be submitted to the Putnam County Health Department for their review.
Right, but they,
Now we simply just show an area that was tested. We completed testing here with the Putnam County Health Department, the suitable area for a septic system. The details, the locations of tanks, force mains and whatnot will be included on the septic drawings.
but what it shows is the force main is on this one, and that's being fed into this septic. So this is the septic for both sites, not just the one site.
It's actually two separate septic systems in one location. It's not a
On
shared.
the PS.
Okay, yes.
I just-
However, I
But
didn't
it's on
pull
that
that
plan.
out of any of the
Understood.
drawings you gave me. I did not get that out of the drawing, so that is what I'm getting at.
Understood. And again, you know, I think back to my original point, You know, we can provide rim and inverts on these structures that capture stormwater and convey it to the PCSB site. So if someone's looking at this drawing, they understand the elevations relative to these structures that need to be completed.
I think he's saying on these sheets for both of the two projects, include all the information for both projects,
For both projects.
right?
Well, the relative,
That's-
the stuff that's relative to both
The
projects.
relevant shared,
All the shared,
Actually, that's according to the way it's supposed to be done, because anything that relates to a site that's done at a different site has to be included in the same site plan. So basically, yeah, you're making two site plans on the same map, even though they're two
Understood.
separate.
You know, I mean, for clarity, what we did was lay back the proposed site improvements. And being that these are two separate site plan applications,
But they're not, because they're combined now with the improvements that you're putting there that affect both
they're
sites.
separate with zoning, they're separate with everything, but when you come to the other parts, put all the information on there for the, am I correct, the sanitary and the drainage and runoff like that? Just so that this way everything's there. That's what he's asking for.
can be done, easily addressed.
Yep. You have the information
I
on the
think
other
the
plat.
richest point, if somebody has to go back 30 years from now and find out what's going on with the septic system and it's on another site, they don't want to be digging through another set of plans.
Especially if they
They want to be able to look at
amend-
the one set and be able to figure it out.
If they amend one
Makes
plan, not
perfect
the other
sense.
plan, it could get very
Yeah,
confusing.
it gets confusing. The stuff that's relative, right, all should
You
be
know,
on one
like I said,
drawing.
easily addressed, there's gonna be no layout changes. We've-
You've drawn it all, you just
everything's-
have to put it
exactly.
Stick them
together.
together.
You gotta merge them, right.
The tributary drainage area too is one for that system there, so they know what portion of the adjacent parking lot is tributary. If there's a change made to that lot in the future by the other owner,
Which will be included in easement descriptions and obviously identified.
The legal piece, right.
You understand?
I understand.
Thank you, I'm glad you do.
Crystal clear.
'Cause no, I think what Rich was saying was absolutely on the money. Yeah. Okay, anybody else from the board? Any concerns? Then Pat, this moves to where?
Next step in this, Mr. Chairman, is public hearing.
It's all set?
So provided the applicant can do what Rich has required him to do, I don't have a problem with scheduling the public hearing. If that's not submitted in time, we can adjourn the public hearing.
What do you think, Rich?
I think it's the board's decision. On the grand scheme of things, this is still going through the New York City DEP approval process. So that may or may not change what's going on the site. So I don't, you know, I'm okay with it going to public hearing.
If our next meeting is gonna be in January, which I assume it is.
Yes.
That gives them more than enough time to have that done. If there's an issue with respect to, at the public hearing, we can always leave it open.
Correct. So I don't have a problem with the public hearing. There, you know, these issues do need to be addressed ultimately.
I said
You
I
and I,
was gonna be quiet.
no, but you and I talking about the same DEP?
Timely manner, I don't think those words belong in the same sentence.
But the applicant has been working with the DEP already, so it's not like they're opening up the door for the first time.
That's a different category. Well, we'll schedule a public hearing. We'll schedule a public hearing at the next time, but beware of the points that will come up, and make sure that they're all addressed. And to do that, sometime after you have proceeded to do what you think is correct, run it past the town engineer,
Understood.
so that when you come back, if something comes up, it may extend the public hearing, and maybe you don't want to do that.
Understood.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Route 6, retail. That you?
Yep. This is the other property they're talking about with the, showing the other information.
It couldn't get out that easy.
Michael?
All of my zoning comments have been addressed.
Rich?
It's essentially the same set of comments that I had on the prior submission. There are references to the other site plan that need to be addressed on this one. The applicant is still in front of the New York City DEP. and having their process reviewed. There are other bunch of comments. I recommend that the applicant and or the engineer come in and just discuss them with me so we can get them cleared up for the next time we meet.
Pat?
At the last meeting, Mr. Chairman, the applicant addressed most of your initial comments. You raised a few concerns and asked them to do some additional work. First was to demonstrate the grading connection of the driveway that goes around to the Kohler Center in the back, which the applicant has provided. They have amended their traffic study to include the Kohler Center traffic generation, which is included in your package, and there are further renderings of the project as well, and that material has been submitted to you.
Can you point all that out? Okay.
The only point to that is, I don't know if the stormwater management practices account for the additional runoff from that proposed road.
I don't know.
No, that's one of my comments.
Still need the mic.
So this is the future location. The applicant's intending to provide an easement to allow the Kohler Center the right to construct this at the time they feel it necessary. And at the time they do feel it necessary to construct this.
They allowed the Kohler Center, you talking about the roadway?
Yes, the driveway connecting the two.
Yes,
Yeah. He just said, he didn't say what it was. I wanted him to say it for the record.
I apologize. At the time that this is constructed, proper permitting, stormwater design, they'll have to go through the necessary approvals. The intention right now is simply to provide an easement to provide them the right to construct this access. Referring to Mr. Franzetti's comment regarding stormwater.
So this is something the Kohler Center would do? Not, this isn't really part of this project, it's something if they wanted to do it at a future time, they'd have access to do it?
Exactly.
We need to talk about that on a side note. It's not a discussion we can have now. So when you come in to talk, we can have this conversation.
Or not, doesn't that has to be an easement there?
It's not a matter of the easement, it would be a matter of segmenting according to New York State law and DEC, and then you'd have, stormwater, you're gonna have more disturbance. You presented a stormwater pollution prevention plan that said, I'm only gonna disturb X amount of acres and increase my imperviousness by this much. And 3 days after you close that out, oh, I'm gonna put a road in now. Well, you can't do that, you have to then account for it as part of your overall stormwater assessment, so that's what all my comment was getting to.
The question is, that an easement's gonna be there.
Yes,
Hang on a minute.
sorry.
Is that true, Pat?
Yes, so just to put this in
Is it
context.
gonna be shown?
Yes, the applicant has agreed to do that, it's on the site plan. But to put this in context, the driveway isn't part of the plan at the moment. It was a discussion with the Kohler Center that there might be, in the future, a desire to make this connection to be more convenient to the new light that's being installed on Route 6 by this applicant, instead of making the turn out of the Kohler Center today. So the Kohler Center isn't proposing this at the moment, it's a potential future improvement.
What happens there, Joe? The reason I asked the question, you been right there on Route 6 where they got that temporary light across there on Route 6? And the county had the problem with getting into there down below, and there was an easement there, but in 2 years, that easement disappeared, nobody could find it? You don't know that, right?
No,
But I'm telling you, you know it now.
you don't deal with disappearing easements.
I can say that the proper paperwork will be filed for this
That-
easement.
That was a disappeared easement, the paperwork was all there, and it had to do with the application, what's the name of that on top of the hill where Kamada's building that, those houses up there?
Pulte Homes.
No.
No, he's talking about Union Place.
Union Place proposed.
Oh, Union Place.
No.
No?
And come,
Oh, now you got it totally lost.
Airways?
Fairways.
Fairways.
Oh,
Gateway
right.
Yeah. Now we remember.
Now we remember.
That's the same thing we have with this thing. Oh, now I remember, but it's too late then. It disappears. It really disappears. Trust me. I would look into that, Rich and Pat.
Yep. Yeah, the easement would be a condition of this approval, no question about it. Whether they build the driveway or not, it's a secondary issue, but the easements would be there.
So that it can be distinguished and it
Absolutely.
doesn't move.
Yep.
Okay.
And they, just to reassure you, they've submitted a grading plan to show that the driveway could actually be constructed around the back. So it's,
So did they do on this property?
they are doing it properly.
Okay. Public hearing?
This is ready for public hearing, Mr. Chairman, again, subject to Rich's.
Anything, Rich?
Same comments as before, I don't have a problem with a public hearing. Is there
You will
anything, sir?
come in and talk to him about that also?
Yes, sir.
We'll schedule a public hearing. We'll schedule a public hearing on that one too.
You're dismissed.
Lake Plaza Shopping Center? Lake Plaza Shopping Center?
This is land at which side over there? Please, start tomorrow. Man, let's go. Look at the shopping center.
Michael?
Yeah, they're proposing an addition to the existing design shopping center. Change the name of the town on the parking summary to Carmel. It's Mayapack now. Oh, a little close. The note, single asterisk, is incorrect. The town of Carmel regulation is 10 by 20. They need to change it to, they wrote down 9 by 18 or 9 by 19, and they'll change that over. There was already a variance that was granted for that. What is in the utility building? What is the total floor area of the entire building? All the buildings, I mean, not just the Kmart, or what was Key Food now. Why is the restaurant on the parking calculation? You can remove that and use that. Sorry, I'm getting feedback here. You can remove the restaurant and put that as a part of the design shopping center. Provide a list of all the variances on the, underneath the zoning table there. If you just write a list of all the variances that were granted, that would be helpful. Provide a detail of all the signage for all of the uses on the site, and I would like to meet with the engineer to discuss the submission.
Rich?
So, the board may be aware this application involves a renovation and expansion of the Lake Plaza Shopping Center. It's about 4.8 acres of disturbance overall, according to the plans that were provided. General comments that the engineering department had or have are referrals are needed for the New York State DEC for stormwater and wetlands, New York State DOT, New York City Department of Environmental Protection for stormwater, Putnam County Department of Health, Town of Carmel Environmental Conservation Board, and Mayapack Fire Department. The applicant did acknowledge that in the submittal, that they were gonna look for these. Permits would be needed from the state for stormwater and wetlands, DOT for work permit and traffic study, DEP for stormwater, and Putnam County for well and SST, oh, there's no SSTS, so, for the sanitary connection. Wetland mappings and delineation provided need to be verified by the state and the town of Carmel Wetlands Inspector. All plantings should be approved by the town of Carmel Wetlands Inspector. The stormwater pollution prevention plan has been provided. It's still, I have not started the review of it. It is recommended that the applicant meet with the New York City DEP with regards to the SWIP. So before I start going through the process of talking with and dealing with the SWIP, the DEP should be worked with, because they're gonna have to have a say in this. The applicant will need to provide a water and wastewater report. It should be noted that it's a potential that increased wastewater flows will need approval from the New York City DEP as it goes to their wastewater treatment plant. It goes to our collection system, but their wastewater treatment plant, so we have to have a water and wastewater study. All easements, water, sewer, and stormwater should be provided. The traffic study should be reviewed and approved by the New York State DOT and the Town of Carmel Highway. The applicant will be required to supply a stormwater maintenance agreement and guarantee per town code, and any public improvements be deemed necessary as part of the development. Performance and associated engineering fee will be required. I have a host and a myriad of more detailed comments, which I'm not gonna go through, and I recommend that the applicant, I will email these to the applicant's engineer, and I recommend that you come in and we talk.
Pat?
So, Mr. Chairman, this is a beneficial application. It is a Stop and Shop application that they're adding to this shopping center. It requires an expansion at the end of the property, the north end. The building will be expanded to the north and west, to the rear, for a new Stop and Shop. In addition, the owner of the shopping center is going to re-facade the entire shopping center, redo the entire parking lot. Those are all significant benefits for us. It's an improvement to the center, no question about it, and we have an opportunity to make it even better. So this is an overall good improvement to the site. This is considered a design shopping center in our zoning code, and there are criteria that apply to these types of applications, and the applicant has made an effort to address some of those by submitting a traffic study and some marketing information with respect to that. Some of it requires a little more fleshing out as we move forward. Most of my comments are fairly minor in nature, and they relate to tweaks to the site plan. They relate to the layout of the parking area and whether additional landscaped islands can be added and so forth. But the biggest concern with respect to this application in adding the square footage and in trying to address their parking requirement, they have added new parking to the site, some of which is in the northern end of the parking lot on the driveway that goes out to Baldwin Lane. But they've also added designated parking spaces in the rear of the shopping center. And as if you know it now, that's sort of the loading area in the back. It's a very large paved parking area that exists today. And they're going to establish part of their required parking in that area. And while they are doing that to achieve the parking compliance number, it's not clear that those spaces are particularly customer friendly. If you park in the back, you'd have to walk around the entire building to come around to the front, and they're providing walkways and painted aisles to get around the building. But that's not a particularly convenient place to park if I'm going to the supermarket. If that's restricted to employees, that's not such a bad thing. It's perhaps a preferable thing to put the employees in the back. But if it's public customer spaces, we need to look at that and the practicality of that. So there might be options, because they are eliminating the retail space next to the supermarket today in this renovation. There may be an opportunity to create a pedestrian connection through the building to get to the rear. That's a method to access those parking spaces, and would certainly be better than a painted walkway through what's a driveway and a truck aisle as well. It seems as though it's not the most optimum way to move customers around the site. So that's the primary concern with respect to the layout of the parking lot. Most of the other issues, Mr. Chairman, are fairly minor related site plan issues and clarifications. The one point I'd like to raise, though, Mr. Chairman, is, as you know, the town's in the process of bringing in an architectural consultant to support our board and the work we do. This is precisely the kind of application we would want such an expert to help us with. They are redesigning the facade for the entire facility, not only Stop and Shop, but the entire shopping center. So hopefully the timing of that will work such that that individual will be on board so that they can help us with this application. I just want to make the applicant aware that that's an opportunity for all of us to see if we can get this a little bit better than it is.
Did you say to the north and the west?
Yeah, so as you go up toward Carmel and toward the back, toward that wetland area, and to the east, I'm sorry, not the west. I'm
I thought you
upside
said
down, I'm sorry,
turn
to the
around.
east. And there's a slight wetland encroachment required as a result of that. That's that stream in the back of the property, as you may know it. So it's east, Mr.
Does
Chair.
that going to affect the entire parking inside site with drainage and?
Yeah, they're actually rebuilding the northern end and resurfacing the southern end, so the entire parking lot's going to be redone. That's going to affect their drainage, no question about it. And it's an old facility. I'm not sure what's there today and how effective it is today. So there's a lot of work to be done.
There's something on that drainage that comes up every couple of years. You know about it, Rich?
I do, and it's something we could talk with the engineer about, but there is an existing stormwater facility in there in the front.
Well,
That is part of a regulatory program by the DEP, which
know,
is
but
why
I-
they need to meet with the DEP.
but I would also encourage you just to let the board know also what's going
So-
on there.
Lake Plaza in the front end of the
You
building.
don't have to do it now,
Oh, okay.
but in your process, when you get ready,
Understood.
type that and let each board member know what's going on there, because there's a lot going on there.
Okay.
Pat, did you say in your memo that Kmart is excluded from the facade up there?
Yes, so, and I'm sure the applicant can speak to that, but Kmart has its own deal with respect to what its building is going to look like. So they are not renovating the Kmart facade.
It's gonna look just like it is now.
Kmart will, yeah. It's Kmart.
Saw Rain Man, though, right?
But I think, again, just to speak, Mr. Chairman, the renovation to the rest of the facade, to the entire shopping center is a significant opportunity for us. So that's a plus.
When you say facade, is it just the front, or does it wrap around and do the rear also?
So here's another issue. If in fact that rear of the building is a public side to the building now, they need to deal with that. So in my memo, you saw comments about perhaps providing access doors to the rear of those buildings. If they are, we want the tail end of those buildings to be improved as well. So I don't know what their proposals are. I'm sure they'll share that with us this evening. It's not bad for that.
That's a good time for the board to come into how you want that place to look. It can look good. It can look the same.
No, it can't look the same.
No, we'd rather it look good.
Get one shot at doing this right.
And I'm sure that they wants to have the place looking as.
We do.
And you've been very patiently waiting there. You want to explain it to us?
I've been rendered somewhat superfluous with the comments from your consultants. Geraldine Tortorella of Hockerman, Tortorella, and Weckstein, we're counsel for the applicant. We're from White Plains. With me this evening, are Mike Youngins and John Canning behind there. I don't know if you can see John behind the plan. Both professional engineers with VHB in White Plains, and they're providing site, civil, and traffic transportation engineering for us. We have Robert Heidenberg and Pablo Medeiros, who may raise his hand. They're both from Heidenberg Properties Group. We're here on behalf of Lake Plaza Associates. And then we have Deborah Farr she's a director of real estate with Ahold USA, which is the parent company of the Stop and Shop Supermarket Inc. So we brought a group with us this evening, not to belabor things, but really we're very excited about this project, and we want to share the work that we've been devoting to it for a very long time and get some feedback from your board. It's very, very important for us to be able to get going, to develop a momentum, and to move forward and work with your board and your other boards from which we need approvals in a cooperative manner so that we really can realize a reinvention of this shopping center, and we're very, very excited about that. The design of the shopping center has been guided by two principles and two objectives, and it's really in order to achieve the redevelopment in an environmentally sensitive and respectful way. And the first principle that we've been guided by as we've been working with it is to contain our new building that Pat mentioned, because we're doing an expansion from the existing building. We're actually doing demolition of the existing supermarket and then rebuilding that space. And in connection with that, we're going to be expanding that building. But we are looking to contain it all on the north side of the building, where a prior iteration of this board has previously granted approvals for expansions in the past on at least 3 separate occasions. So we're trying to work within areas that the board has already studied and been familiar with and comfortable with allowing the development in the past. The second thing that we've been looking to do is to employ sustainable practices and green technology in the development. And you'll hear in a few minutes about the fact that Stop and Shop is on the leading edge of this in its supermarkets. And our client has also agreed and wants to partner with Stop and Shop in order to bring that kind of technology and those kinds of sustainable practices to the redevelopment of this shopping center. So those are really two principal guiding ideas that have been driving the design that you'll see discussed, that you'll hear about tonight, and that you'll see in the elevations that we're going to talk about. And we too, when we look at the elevations, particularly the elevations that deal with the balance of the shopping center facade, they're really a work in process, and we'll talk about that with you, but we're very open to speaking with and working with your architectural consultants in order to arrive at something that really presents a very nice appearance for the shopping center, something you can be proud of, something we're proud of, and something that the community will benefit from, and tie the whole center together rather than have just one nice wing of the center, and the rest of the center looks like it may have been, forgotten about or disregarded. We require site plan approval from your board and approval of the stormwater pollution prevention plan. As was mentioned, we also require a wetlands permit from the town, from the Environmental Conservation Board, for a small amount of unavoidable disturbance on the north side wetlands. We have, and we'll talk about it with you, and we'll be able to demonstrate it. We have talked to DEC. DEC has confirmed our delineation, and we do not have any disturbance to the DEC regulated wetland buffer area, so we do not anticipate needing a DEC wetlands permit. We will require variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals. This site has been before the Zoning Board of Appeals a number of times in the past for parking space size and number of parking spaces. And while why ruin a good thing, we're going to have to go back there again because we have new parking. We'd like to keep the same parking space size that was previously approved by the Zoning Board of Appeals, and that's 9 by 19. So that's the size that you see in the design, and that's the size that we'll be seeking a variance for. And then we will be looking for a variance from the number of parking spaces on the site. And again, that's something that the Zoning Board of Appeals has seen in the past. We have done a parking analysis, parking utilization study to support our belief that we have plenty of parking on the site and that we will continue to have plenty of parking on the site with the redeveloped center, so that we won't have an issue of not being able to accommodate additional traffic to the center. And as was noted, we're going to need DEC approval. We have stormwater approval from DEC. We need DEP approvals, Putnam County Department of Health. We are not going to be making any changes to the driveway entrances to the shopping center, so I don't anticipate that we'll need Department of Transportation approvals. But if there is something there that we have overlooked, then we certainly would take a look at that and proceed with those applications as well. And of course, your board needs to make the referral to the Putnam County Planning Board, so that would happen as well. I'd like to allow if you have a few minutes, just to allow Mr. Youngins to take you through the site plan, describe some of our ideas. We can talk about the traffic study if you're interested in just boiling it down to the conclusions that we've reached and summarizing what our findings were. And then we'd like to just show you the architecture and then talk about next steps and where we can go from there.
Sure.
Good evening, Mike Youngins with VHB. I'm the civil engineer on the project. Just want to give you a quick overview of what we're proposing here and how we're going to do it. As mentioned, what is proposed is the addition of a new Stop and Shop in the north end of the center. What's there today is a 24,000 square foot Key Food and a 7,800 square foot CVS in this area. We'll be taking those down and then putting up a new 53,000 square foot Stop and Shop, and then a smaller tenant space, basically just filling in that gap area between the remaining retail and the new Stop and Shop. And that new tenant space is going to be 3,785 feet. The layout for this is going to keep the same access points as we have today. There's going to be no changes at all. We're going to keep generally the same pattern coming into the site. As you can see, the shaded area here, this is going to be our limited disturbance that we're going to do within the site. This is where we're going to have to do regrading. We're going to take the pavement up fully. We're going to do our utility work. So that's going to be in this area. As far as the remainder of the site, we are proposing some additional improvements, which are going to be the addition of islands. As you probably know out there today, it's a sea of asphalt. There's no delineation. People drive right across the parking area, and there's no good channelization of the traffic. We're going to add along the frontage here islands, and they're going to be landscaped, and I'll show you that in a minute. And also along the frontage of the buildings here too, to provide a little bit of channelization and also to provide some green space and just give it a much nicer, squarer look. We're also, for the balance of the center, proposing new lighting, and we're going to resurface all of it. Now, it was mentioned that, yes, we are pushing the parking to the north. Today, the parking ends at about here, so we are adding some additional parking to the north here. The parking ends approximately where there's a tree line today, So for the most part, we're maintaining the buffer that exists along Baldwin Lane. We're leaving about 30 feet, which is over and above the required setback in that area. As you go back along the Stop and Shop, this northerly line is right just inside of where the existing pavement line is. So we're not increasing the encroachment toward this wetland area here. We are pushing back, though. This is the back of the existing Key Food, and the pavement ends about here. So we're pushing it back, and we're actually cutting a wall in here, because as you head to the back of the site, the grade rises. This is actually going to be a nice area for loading when we're done, because first of all, we have a wall here which depresses all this area down, and we're also moving the loading docks to the opposite side of the building. These are going to be sealed loading docks, which means the kind you back up and have the big cushion thing on it. Today, all the loading docks are open. The noise goes. With these new sealed loading docks, it's going to keep all the noise inside. It's going to buffer it a lot better from the adjacent neighbors. Also, the wall is going to act as an additional acoustical buffer because it's going to be 7 to 8 feet, which is going to keep it even quieter for the neighbors. And the compactor on the back is actually also a sealed compactor that's loaded by a chute from inside the loading dock. So there's no external garbage that's being thrown in. So from a buffering of the neighbors, this is a much better layout than what you have out there today. It was also mentioned that we're redoing the parking in the back here. Today, people park back there, but there's no delineation. There's trucks everywhere. The only thing that's fixed in the middle is there's a couple compactors out there today. What we're proposing is to formalize the parking and then add in a spin circle for the trucks in the back. This is a generous spin circle. This is about 100 feet. You need actually 80 or 90 usually for a truck, but we put a nice comfortable size in there. Trucks entering the site, and I can show you a maneuvering plan. I'm going to run into the back, and if I'm coming into the Stop and Shop, I'm going to back in here. And then when I leave, I'm going to go forward, I'm going to spin, I'm going to go out. Also, for the Kmart trucks, they're going to come in, they're going to spin, and they're going to back in. This is where they do it today. We're just formalizing it and then making good use of the rest of that space. This space in the back we're proposing to be primarily employee parking, which makes sense because you wouldn't want customers for the most part, having to walk around the building. We did provide the access because that's going to be, obviously important even for the employees to get around to the front. For the most part, the circulation stays the same on the site. As far as pedestrians go, we did provide that nice pedestrian circulation around. There are no sidewalks today abutting the site, so we didn't provide any sidewalks out to the streets.
So there wouldn't be any rear entrance for the employees?
Well, there are rear entrances in all of these here. I can't speak for the tenants on what their policy is about having people come in and out the back door, but there are access points there today.
And Stop and Shop has a rear entrance.
Right.
So the rear entrance is just for the employees in the back?
All right, let me, and also another important point too is that today, if you notice, we've got handicap spaces out there that we have signs. We're gonna be upgrading all the handicaps up to code. So, and we're also gonna be redoing the grading, so everything is right where it needs to be as far as standards are concerned.
And curb cuts onto the sidewalks?
Pardon me?
Curb cuts onto the sidewalk?
Yes, instead of asphalt lumps. Yes, they'll have actual curb cuts. I'm gonna move one more plan, just to give you a quick grading, so you can grab that one. This just shows the grading and the drainage for the site. As mentioned, this site has a lot of drainage on it today because there are several systems out here which were placed to do compensation for pollutant removal for other parts of the town. When we designed ours, we looked at it independently for the additional impervious we're adding and provided our own sets of treatment here. So we're going to feed into that system, but all our water will be detained and treated. So when we outflow into that existing system, we're going to have the same characteristics as we have today. So it's going to be a match. And I obviously got to work out the details with Rich because there seems to be some information that wasn't available when we did the design, and we'll update it with his guidance. The grading is just we are flattening out the parking lot in front of the Stop and Shop. It's a little steep today, and obviously a use with shopping carts, you want to try to keep it as flat as you can. So we're dropping the slope a couple percent to give you a better front door and give you better cart control.
Not cut you a little bit, aren't there some drainage issues, Mike, with the neighbors to the front of that shopping center? Aren't there some drainage issues there, or no?
Not from here.
Nothing to do with this?
The parking lot is in bad shape, though. As you come
parking lot-
west,
We are
on the
definitely
western
gonna-
border, it's a mess.
Everything inside this dash line's all new. Everything over that way will do, obviously, repairs where there's failures, and the rest of it's gonna be a normal overlay. We'll obviously do the surface coat for everything at once, so it'll look like a completely new lot all the way across.
Would you point out, there is access to that parking lot between Valvoline and Dunkin' Donuts?
Sure, that's right here.
Just point, that's right there. Okay, so that area immediately into the parking lot, and then going north-south is really gets a lot of
It's like the
retention of
surface of the
water
moon
and,
over there.
And that's where they dump the snow. They pile it there too to make it no better.
Yeah, and that's something that we definitely have to deal with, and obviously, we're doing a bit of digging here to put this detention system in, so we're gonna have to redo that whole area anyway. So we'll square that all up. So, and again, the grading is pretty much just limited to the Stop and Shop area. Obviously, during construction, we're gonna have to keep this all open and phase it, because we gotta maintain access to everybody in the back, and that's your case. All right, to the next plan. Actually, one more. This is the utility plan. It's a little redundant on the drainage plan. Soil erosion. All right, one more. Go to C8, please. C8 is a circulation plan. I just wanted to show you how just gives you a little more information on how the trucks work. We actually kept the trucks in pretty much the same alignment as they are today, so they didn't get any closer to Baldwin Lane, so we're not going to have any additional noise issues. They come in off of Route 6, and they enter the back. They turn around, as I mentioned, and then they exit out the same way. There's obviously no use of Baldwin Lane, and we don't propose any, so it's going to be pretty much the same as the trucks enter and exit today. And we also show on here just the pedestrian movements, which we added additional pedestrians in the back. For the employees, we added an offset in front of all the buildings, because, you know, all these doors have back doors, and there's always crap outside, so it's better just to put a zone behind the tenant spaces and offset the parking.
That's a painted in the back, is that what they just painted?
Correct,
on?
yeah, we're not changing, altering it, we're just gonna resurface this, and then we're gonna add this. The only hardscape changes we're making back here is just consolidating those two compactors back there into a little better location.
You got a bunch of containers back there too. I'm not sure what those are about, but there's
Storage, seasonal storage, I think,
Kmart?
CBS, I think, is
Yeah,
known
there's
for going from Halloween to Easter, you know, they
Right,
jump
so you
from.
may have to address that a little bit. There's a few of them back there, I would say.
Yeah,
I haven't been back there in a while,
they-
but there's like, there
Yeah, I
used to be
haven't
like
been back
6
there.
or 8 or so, right? Back
We
there.
got complaints about the other Rite Aid, and we actually addressed that one. I haven't been back to this one lately.
I haven't been back there in a while. I was there, I would say, a month ago or so. There's probably 6 or 8 of them back there.
But Dave, to be clear, there are no storage containers shown on the site plan. So they are telling us with this plan that all of that's being eliminated.
That's correct. And we have more loading
Yes,
docks
it's
here,
being
too. We have
limited,
3 loading docks where there are 2 open and not as, actually, they have scissor lifts on them. These are going to be depressed loading docks. This is going to be a much better way of approaching it than we have today. All right, and then the last one I wanted to show was just the landscape plan, just to show you where we're adding some additional, they got everything in here. Dave? We are relighting the entire center. We're doing it in LED, which is going to be the low energy choice. The nice thing about LEDs is they have very sharp cutoffs. We're using the same size pole that's out there today. It's a 25 and a 3-foot base. We're going to mimic that with the pole heights here today. And we're actually going to add more poles than are out there today. And we're going to get a real nice distribution. It gets a little shadowy out there today. We're not going to have that problem anymore. And we're going to have an excellent level of safety going into these stores and out to the parking lot. As you can see, we're able to keep a nice core, a nice even distribution throughout the whole center. We relit everything all the way out to the main entrance. and also added lighting in the back. Today, there's just one huge light in the back. We're gonna have a series of lights, so it's gonna be a nice, even pattern throughout the center. And all new LED, all new everything.
And you don't exceed the 1 lumen at the property line?
No,
Actually do in one area where Mike's pointing right now.
right here at the entrance, but we figured the entrance needed a little extra light. We want us to pull it back, we will.
Yeah,
We'll talk to Rich.
We'll look at that a little more carefully.
Well, most of the residential's behind this, right? I
Yep.
think the nearest residential's really,
Right across the street.
there's a couple in there.
Baldwin Lane.
Couple homes right there.
But I think you got a barrier of tall trees on the opposite side.
yeah.
Which they're keeping.
Then to Woods Bay.
That goes up
Also
the hill there,
along,
right?
along Baldwin. I
On
think he's
Baldwin is
talking
where
about.
all the residents
Baldwin.
are. There's about 3 residents over there.
I don't think
Yeah,
that
there's like
lighting
1,
would
2,
affect them,
3 over there.
that entrance.
In the summer, it may not, it's not gonna affect them. I don't know what type of trees are over there, but in the fall.
They're evergreens, aren't they?
There's evergreens,
Are
yeah,
they?
that's that stand over here that we're keeping is an evergreen stand. It's actually white pines mixed in with some other lower ones.
Okay.
And we're proposing to augment that.
I was gonna say, you may want to augment, because some of the lower
Yeah, that's
trees
what I wanted to,
may
yeah, the
not be
white
so.
pines always drop their lower.
Yeah.
C18?
Baldwin.
On Baldwin Place side,
Is
yeah.
the
I guess that would be
planting
north or east.
As you can see, in the islands that we're proposing in front over here, we're adding landscaping. It's gonna be 2-story landscaping. We're gonna have ornamentals and shade trees, and then we're gonna have shrub plantings in the base of the islands. So it's gonna be 2-level plantings in all of it. The island here, which is this wide today, we're actually expanding to make it bigger, and that's all gonna be landscaped. And it actually moves the circulation out a little bit, which is better than what's there today as far as a traffic point of view. And we're also doing infilling adjacent to this. We will, once we get the grading over here, we will propose to do infilling here based on what the final condition is.
So this is the island behind the car wash, that big island in the front,
Yeah,
am I in the right
yeah.
place?
Today it's this wide, we're making it this wide.
So you're gonna kind of clean up that traffic pattern in there. That's kind of a goofy traffic pattern, right?
Oh,
Coming in
yeah.
and out, everybody kind of gets confused to where they're going and,
Oh, no, this is gonna be much cleaner what's out there.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause they
delineated.
they
and
have that
shrink it a little bit, yeah, so it's
They have
not
that
so.
screwy island that somebody.
Yeah, they have
cut
that
out.
triangle island there that,
Holt, this is our end of town, so we're excited.
So, no, yeah, this will square it all up, and, any recommendations, more than happy to listen. But it's
Yeah,
gonna
Mike,
be-
one of those related to that boulevard on the way in, and there's a concrete median today, and if you can, in some way, consider some planting on that median, so that boulevard's a little more attractive on the way in.
Coming down in, right?
yeah. Well, I was gonna ask you that.
It's a metal base, so nobody can nail anything into it. No staples.
All right, that's all.
Well,
signs on it.
Yeah, well, we are proposing, I mean, Mike, we haven't really talked about it, but we are looking to beautify that sign, and by adding, a nice, attractive, and durable masonry facade or veneer to that sign, so that we can clean it up, it'll look a little nicer, hopefully it'll be less of an invitation for people to post things there, things of that nature, so that's also part of
Flu
it.
shots.
Someone else put their lost cat signs.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a community
Well, if it was your cat,
announcement board
Mike.
or something, and stop it, stop it, wherever, so if it is your cat.
If it was your lost cat, Mike, you'd want your sign up there, so.
All right, any questions?
I just got one. Can you pull the map back on the entrance and where the trucks come in at?
Traffic circulation. 15.
Make sure I get the right one.
15?
C11, I believe.
15.
This is an actual layout. An actual-
C8, that far back?
15,
There's gonna be a walkway.
C8, I have it.
date?
8, yep.
That's the one.
Sure. The,
15 must've been the lady.
when Keyfood all first came in, we spent a lot of time, the board did, on making sure, we spent a lot of time, I guess Carl can remember, on getting that red light in there. And that was quite a job to get it in there. For the simple reason, we did not want the trucks to come out of this shopping center and go on Baldwin Lane and go back to Route 6.
Oh, no, we've actually opened this up and made this the much easier movement.
Let me just finish.
Okay, sorry.
So they go away and they fix it so that the trucks can't get out of there. About 5 years later, we noticed the owl went in there. which allows the trucks to come out and swing around this aisle and go right out. Today, you got a circle in there.
Okay.
Is
You
that
talking
true?
this thing in here?
No, this look, I can't draw, but I can do my handwork.
Okay.
The trucks could, here's Borden Lane coming straight down, correct? The trucks could come out, and we had them blocked. They had to go out and come out on Route 6. But what they did is they put, when they came out and they put a circle in here that allows those trucks to come out and hit that road and go right into Borden Lane.
They put an additional lane to drive to
Right.
go out to
Additional
Bowling
egress
Lane. You
to the
didn't want
right.
that.
Oh, I see.
They put a, like a,
And if you know, I'm sure you know, because it's down there.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
yet they left a very large planting there so that the visibility is absolutely zero.
correct.
So we would like for you to
So we'll
just
take a look at that.
keep it just like you have in there. The trucks cannot make that turn.
Oh, no, they can't. It's actually more of an angle,
Yeah.
because you got
They
this,
never make
But
it.
this is
with
the
that,
thing you're talking about right here.
yes, that's it.
That's gone in this plan.
So this press fellow told us it was gone. But it's kind of slips back in there. I want you to fix,
promise, it's
I
gone.
want you to fix it some kind of way though, it can't get back in there.
Nope.
Because it's really a hazardous condition. If those trucks go out and come out onto Route 6 off of Borden Lane, that's a hazard.
Oh, I agree with you. This is a much
Yeah.
better location at the signal.
And the next thing is, just says that you're putting a curve across where the bank is, where the bank and the car wash is.
The main extended island?
Bank here, oh, you mean the widening of this?
Yes. And he said you're gonna make it so that it'd be easier to get those carts. It's got a slight grade to it now.
Well, that's what we're doing. We're actually picking
But
the
how are
grade
you
up.
gonna get that grade out of there?
Well, that's why we widened this.
Correct.
Because let me go back to the grading plan. Maybe it'll help demonstrate that. With C5. The grades today, we're actually pulling the grades out to make it flatter. We're actually doing a grade change in this island. So this island is gonna have a little bit of a slope to it.
So it's a retaining wall almost.
Yeah, well, we're gonna try to do it.
Retaining
It's gonna retain, they're gonna bring it up and,
I didn't see that.
yep.
And that's gonna allow us to flatten this out, so we don't.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the little wall you're gonna put there.
Yeah.
I understand that. And then all the way to the south of that parking lot, right in front of
Kmart.
Kmart, it's kind of a junk.
Terrible.
It's a horrible place.
I guess like stuff to gather over here.
The curb is all ugly there. It's just terrible. It looks terrible.
Isn't it? Can you, it's just for you, you're putting a lot of finance in there to fix it up so it'd be a great place, a great business. If you fix it up, I think it'd be well worth
Oh, we
the
proposed to
enhancement to the whole
leave that
rather
in
than
too.
leave that,
Just the
Hang on.
guardrail in there, some landscape, it just looks
Oh, the
terrible.
hardscape stuff.
Yeah, so if you could do just a little landscaping, just to soften that edge, it just it
No,
looks terrible
I think
right
the
now.
other thing to look at, and going back to where it's been, it originally was a drive-in movie theater.
Yes.
And I swear some of the humps are still there from the drive-in in the parking lot. And that continues all the way to Kmart. And looking at what you're doing on the north end really looks nice. But for the majority of the plaza, even though you're putting in some improvements, if you're just resurfacing the rest of that paving
Well, we're
and
gonna-
not regrading it,
No, we're not regrading, but we are gonna
Well,
have to go do
that's-
the failure areas, obviously.
I'm just saying overall, with all that you're putting into it, the entire plaza, to totally fix it. Because what you're gonna end up with is a really nice parking lot on the north end, and you're still gonna drive through all those humps, going through the rest of the entire plaza. Because it's like a wave going from one end to the other. And when you look at it, realistically, if you're gonna fix it, it seems to me that you would fix it.
Problem is, the smoother they make it, the faster people go through it.
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean, it's just,
No, I'm not
It's,
defending it, I'm
you
just
know-
saying,
But there are definitely,
once you fix the north end, it's gonna make the south end even seem worse than it is. If you're not gonna fix the whole thing, it seems, and even going to your facade situation, the idea of Kmart not being included. I mean, for an example, and I think one of your stores is in it, Southbury Mall in Connecticut. you know, it has Kmart, and I believe it has a Stop and Shop, a beautiful shopping center, where the entire shopping center has the same detail, you know, where it all incorporated in. If you're gonna go through the process of doing 3/4 of it, there's no reason why the entire thing isn't done. Because again, you're leaving a Band-Aid on what you're trying to improve, you know? That would just be my opinion.
I think you have to look at that whole side, and especially for me, the buffers, when you kind of look at the edges and the guardrail and the edges are just, they're just, as Harold said, it's just ugly. Yeah, it definitely needs to be cleaned up.
And then one last thing, I'm bringing up issues that we went through with, and they always turn out, on paper, they was always said they're gonna do it. But I think we're gonna watch this time a little bit. The one that's coming where Dunkin' Donuts come, my favorite store.
Right here.
Yes. Now, you're not supposed to drive out of there and come out on Route 6. But you sit there and watch how many people go right out of
It's
there.
just like the trucks going out on Baldwin.
I never
You- And you're not, you can go in there to get the Dunkin' Donuts and get to the
Oil change.
oil change. But you're not supposed to be able to come out of there in any fashion.
Not all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we fixed that. But remember the guy that took that curve out over here? He did the same thing over there. What you got to do, I'm not you engineer, what I would like for you to look at again, which they promise is gonna do, because then it says they're gonna try to get a red light that would coincide with the other red light. And we went months, didn't we, Pat? Looking at that. I walked that road so much I thought I owned it. We didn't get the red lights, but here's what we got, which is not there. When you come up, if that is wide open, fellow will leave the shopping center down there at Kmart, and he'll come up and see the traffic up there. He just come right out there and come right up on up. But you can fix that, which they promised they would. You can come out there with a one lane coming out of Dunkin' Donuts. But when you get ready to come out of that garage there, there's a curb sitting there that you can't pull into, but you can come out of. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
You know that's not their property, though.
Is that
Huh?
on, yeah, is that on Dunkin'
that's-
Donuts you're talking
That's
about, or
the
no?
separate
That's not
But
ours.
that's-
We don't control that.
That interest that you control.
No.
No.
Show me where you own.
Apparently
They
not.
control from the,
Hang on, let them tell me.
Yeah, we control this little tiny piece right there.
When you make the right out of Dunkin'
Now,
Donuts,
how
the
far,
exit,
how far,
you
how
cross
far
their
south you
property
go?
line.
Into
How
their
far
property,
south?
right, that you
Yeah.
can't fix that entrance, they can't touch it.
Then you can fix it. You want me to get up and come and show you? Could I have your little red light?
Oh, man. I know what Harold's getting for Christmas.
Or an airplane.
I got one.
We heard about them on the news.
Everybody watch out.
watch your eyes.
I got it.
This don't.
It went on.
Oh,
You got
yeah,
it that
that's
time.
it.
Huh?
You broke it.
Push the right,
What does that do? Just push this button, right?
Technologically challenged.
Yep, this one, little one right there. You got it.
Oh, this one?
No, this right.
there it went, oh, it went
Have I
on.
got it?
There it is.
Where you see it? I
Yeah,
can't see it.
yeah.
Oh, now it's up high.
There you go.
Have I got it?
You gotta go lower. There you go.
Gotta
You're
go
on the
lower.
top. You need to go down
Go
lower.
way down.
Point.
You're off to the left.
All right. Good enough, Harold.
Well, let me just show you. Got a pen?
Classic.
Here's this interest. You come out of Dunkin' Donuts and you go right in here. Correct? You come out of this and you go right in here. But there was a curve here that directed that. You couldn't just get here and bounce in here.
Oh, so force people to.
Force people to go left here, but they couldn't just come zipping up in here and comes zipping on through. Now, this may not be something that you can do, but I guarantee you one thing, there is something you can do,
Yeah, we'll take a look at it.
okay?
Okay.
Because they do that now. They come barreling around here and come right out on Route 6. And that's, when you get out here,
There's a one-way sign there too, and they're ignoring it.
Sign won't do it.
There's a sign there now?
There is a sign there.
There's a sign there now.
There is a sign there
barreling
now.
it down.
There's a sign now nobody listens
Not
to.
enter. You can drive past the gate and pull into the
takes
left
a while for
parking lot
people
to
Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts, but you cannot go all the way forward into the front
Yeah.
parking lot of Dunkin' Donuts.
That's not a great
But
situation.
nobody listens to that.
A little bit, I'm gonna do it a bunch of
So
times.
we understand you want us to channel traffic in such a way that it cannot go back onto Dunkin' Donuts from our shopping.
Yeah, that they're not coming out of this
And,
parking lot.
and the main thing is don't get back to Route 6.
That's what he's concerned with.
But, yeah, you're gonna get pushback from those two enterprises because they want access from both sides.
But
The
you know,
issue really is at the entrance to Route 6. It should be one way in only, single lane.
They have to exit the
with
other way.
flare to both directions, because traffic can come in from both directions, but it should only be one lane in. It's currently effectively two lanes in. I don't know that you folks can address that, because you don't own it.
Right,
So,
well, would you take a look at that area there and see if some kind of way that we can hinder traffic
yeah.
from coming back out onto Route 6?
We will. I mean, we have to look at it, we have to make sure that it's not going to have an adverse effect on circulation
Or
on the
affect
site
their
once we
easement.
do it.
Right.
Everything has a
They have an easement, I'm
domino
sure.
effect, right?
Now-
Yes, they do. And-
Now,
and we
there
have
was,
one as
there was a board member at the time that didn't want any traffic going in there. For the simple reason that you can pull up there and that shopping, that 1/3 of that shopping center traffic goes down that road. It's not to be.
Certainly coming north on 6,
Yes,
I do it myself,
you're not supposed to, it's not through way.
to go into the,
No, he's saying to go,
Oh, yeah.
he's saying to go back out to 6.
I understand, not to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
out, I understand that, but
You mean to come in,
Using
you
that.
come into that shopping center.
I
you're
don't
not
thi- I
supposed
don't
to
think
use it
they
to go in?
envisioned a lot of traffic
You're not
coming
supposed
into
to go
the
in there.
shopping center from that. That
Where
was
does it say that?
generally provided for the
it doesn't.
Dunkin' Donuts.
It doesn't say that.
It doesn't say that.
It's
It
it's
doesn't
okay.
say that, but the whole discussion was at the time that we went through this whole,
To beat the light.
Dave, I would say we spent over a year on that traffic.
On that Dunkin' Donuts
That
little
one little
traffic. jam.
traffic pattern there with that red light,
Yeah.
It's ugly.
all that try to
Well,
get it-
there is a certain learning curve to the Dunkin' Donuts traffic pattern. If you don't kind of know it, sometimes, the first couple times I got in there, I'm thinking I could make a left and get back out of there. You got to kind of ride around a store, and it takes a little while to figure it out, that's for sure. It's not the simplest thing in the world.
Well, I
Maybe I'm a
pulled
little,
into my
More than one
favorite
white wall on those
restaurant.
curbs, too.
there you go.
So, when I pulled in, the guy was pulling right out of Dunkin' Donuts, right back over.
Yeah, come back out, yeah. I try to do it the first couple of times, but it's a learning curve to it. Again, I'm a little old and
So
don't
we
figure
gotta
things out so
stop him
fast.
from doing that.
Like that pointer thing. I'm not too good at it, but,
Hard to do balancing the coffee
Yeah.
between your legs.
but you do work it out.
Going,
We're happy to post a sign on the information bulletin and Stop and Shop that, people shouldn't be exiting that way.
There you go.
plus they have Starbucks, so they'll be saying, don't go to Dunkin'
That's right.
Donuts.
It might be
That's right,
something
we're
that
gonna,
you,
we don't wanna do it.
that you can't really get done, but we would sure like you to take a look at it.
yeah.
We
See
will,
that.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to the comment of, do the rest of the center as well. I mean, I understand the comment, and we know that as we do the resurfacing of the southern half of the center, there may be areas where we have to work out the grade and whatever, and when we get there, I'm fully expecting that we would do that. It's a big undertaking.
Oh, no, I understand, believe me, I fully understand that, it's just,
Completely reconstruct that end of the shopping center, and we don't have complete flexibility or control over the facade of Kmart either. I mean, I understand, and it's certainly not efficient for us to do part of the job and then the rest of the job later on, but it's not necessarily something we can completely control. So
Well,
we'll talk about it and we'll take it back to our client and we'll discuss it, but, we have thought about a lot of these things. We thought about the cut-through from the back. There's always a concern about when you create a public space like that, people want to collect there, young people want to, find it as a place to hang out. We have concerns about those kinds of things and safety as well. So we have thought about a lot of these things, and we'll talk about it some more and react and respond to it. And we certainly understand now what you
it was the board's idea to put that through. The requests, I don't know whether Pat can remember, but the requests from those Dunkin' Donut and that garage was for there be no entrance into that parking lot.
Exactly right.
They want their own entrance off of Route 6. It was the board that had decided that we could keep it safe.
There
We
was a
didn't do a
reason,
very
there was
good
a reason
job.
why we did that, so,
We couldn't get the red light,
well, yeah. Why would you want one?
and we couldn't get that little road that goes up the hill there in front of it changed either.
Well, there is something to be said about having an ability to direct the traffic to a traffic light where it can manage the
Yes.
distance.
And
of
that
the
was,
traffic.
that was the whole point
That
of
was
the
the
design.
purpose of it.
Right. I mean, very few property owners want to be granting easements to other shopping centers or commercial properties. I mean, in fact, that's very hard to get people to agree to. I mean, you
Took
accomplish
months
a
for
very
that to happen.
significant thing.
Yeah.
Took months, and we now asked the DOT, could they put up a light that would, somebody come toward it, would say, do not come, do not. They would talk to them.
They don't like those wink lights, and then I think they're probably too close together.
Yeah. But anyhow, we take a look at it.
So that is, the site plan, I mean, the essential parts of the site plan. I mean, we talked about the stormwater management, et cetera. One comment that you had made was about the condition down in the corner here. You had asked if there was a question or a problem there with drainage. I think what you might be referring to is that there is a drainage easement over that corner, in that corner there for off-site, for the benefit of someone off-site, and it's for underground facilities. And we provided a copy of that with our submission, but we are not interfering with that in any
No,
way.
I'll punt the mic. I know there was some drainage issues at the rear of some of these buildings off of Route 6, right? Wasn't it right? But has nothing to do with the shopping center. There's a stream there, something, right, that
And
overflows.
it fills and it doesn't run off.
Yeah, so it's kind of behind these properties. Right, I don't know if it has anything to do with this or not. I was just,
I'm sure this doesn't help it, but it's not gonna hurt it. They're not increasing it, they're not gonna make it worse.
I don't know if it had any effect of it or not. I know there's some issues there.
Just an aside, if you were to look at the New York State DEC wetlands map, which I know is quite incorrect, it shows the wetlands.
Oh, yeah, it goes all the way.
How far up, Mike? Show them how far up.
Halfway
It
through
goes
the parking
pretty
lot.
much
Right up to here, yeah.
all the way across and in front. And that was when they redid it, when this was in place already. So.
Be careful on aisle 5 in Kmart.
So
Don't go on a rainy day.
The applicant's fault, it's not a slide on the applicant, it's a slide on the New York State DEC when they went and mapped this area. They just basically did an aerial photography. But that is why that there's that problem there, is because you have this higher,
Just too much water.
it's a wetland. And you're down at Mud Pond, right below you on the south, going into the Croton.
And there's that much slope over a mile.
Yeah, so there's a lot of reasons, plus you have Route 6 on one side, and that's why those establishments were complaining about water. There's a stream there that's completely piped and then opens up and then piped again. So there's a lot going on.
I punt to you guys anyway. That's to the professionals.
Yeah, well, no, we do have, I mean, we can't have any, no
Additional
net
runoff.
increase in rate of runoff. And so that's the standard that we have to meet, and the design does meet it, and I think we may have to provide more documentation to support that, and we understand that.
I do think you could introduce some landscape buffer on that side and make that look a lot better. That, simple enough stuff that, not super expensive, and make the thing look a little better.
Yeah, curbs,
Yeah,
clean up some of
the guardrail itself, just some simple things, I think, as opposed to milling a whole lot. I'm not a big flat guy anyway. I think, I'm with Mike, sometimes a little bumpy stuff slows people down a little bit.
Well, we're trying to do away with the raceway, though,
Yeah.
I understand, yeah.
The drag.
That's what I said.
Drag race.
Yeah, slows them
from one
down.
end to
That's why
the
we
other.
actually had in the meeting we had.
Yes.
Well, that's how I honestly, I still see it that way. With the planting islands on your east and west side of the parking lot as it runs north and south, why don't you, instead of putting them on the east and west side, why don't you make your islands run east-west through the parking lot?
Because then you take away a lot of parking, and I'm not defending them, but you
Well,
lose a lot of
If it's feasible,
spots.
but,
It's also
yeah,
a
I think it would be preferable.
And you
It's
can't
also a
plow.
maintenance issue with snow plows.
Yeah,
We put one in the
they-
middle because of-
The Stop and Shop in Somers Commons has it the way I described it, and it's not an issue with maintenance. It's just you're plowing east-west instead of north-south. I'd like that to be considered, because you still have a racetrack there.
Which way you,
It's talking about putting islands this
You
Vertical.
have the islands running north-south, on the east and west
The
end of
runs
the
are
parking
shorter,
lot.
right? You just have one
Instead of
parking
doing that, have your planting islands run east-west across the entire length of the parking lot.
Or at least a couple. so
That's it, you
that
don't need
it's
to-
not
you
a
really just need to
continuous
stagger it,
expense.
right?
Not every aisle, you need
third,
one or
every
two.
third.
Just
and
stagger
leave
it.
it enough
Just
And
break.
it'll give you more
break up-
shade, it'll break up the parking lot a little bit better.
Yeah, just don't leave anything that's a straight quarter mile.
square area you lose, it's just crazy.
I mean, it could be,
Uh-oh, oh boy.
Silence.
I had a few things I just wanted to bring up. Where they go, we'll see. The lighting, is it, these are gonna be night sky type compliant?
Yeah, actually, they're gonna be LEDs in boxes, so the source is gonna be up in the box, and then they're gonna be
And
down.
no lenses down that you're gonna see from the side? I mean, we're trying to limit
Flat lenses.
everything from off-site visibility, okay? The poles are pretty high out there. Is there anything can be done to lower them? I realize that probably increases the number,
Yeah,
but
that's the problem, and we, 25 for a shopping center is, with a
Yeah.
foot base is pretty modest to begin with.
fair enough.
I do 35 all the time, so we were trying to keep it low to begin with.
I understand.
Yeah.
I would just sort of reiterate that point as it's, I think, particularly sensitive behind the building because there's limited light there now. If you're adding significant more light, there are homes right up the hill that kind of look down on this whole thing.
it's a lighting.
It's gonna be enough of a stadium effect for them probably already. So, you know, if you can,
Well,
anything
we
you
can
can
look
do.
at
Just-
have lights that switch off at certain hours too. It's something that.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to find a solution now, I'm just raising some potential concerns and considerations.
The road is 100 feet above the top of the roof.
The islands, I think we talked about them. There is, the area that goes to Baldwin Lane, as the chairman brought up, is a problem now. I noticed you have two means of access egress from the sort of access road there. Are those bidirectional on both of those? Because now you're gonna have traffic. I'm concerned with traffic coming in off of Baldwin Lane, which it does, and then having to stop someone stops to make that closer left. If somebody else comes in behind them and ends up backing up potentially into Baldwin Place. Is there a way maybe to eliminate one of those
Can
and
look
kind of
at doing something like this.
something there to, yeah, otherwise you get guys doing this and it's gonna be, it could be
Sure,
more
we
of a
could look
problem.
at reducing.
Closing it off.
Okay,
That won't hurt us from a numbers point of view.
okay. The tree line on the north, you said that was gonna be lost
No.
or
No,
replaced?
there's
be
an existing stand here.
enhanced.
Enhanced.
We're gonna keep that stand and we're gonna infill it.
Okay, because of the screening for those folks, that's
Yeah.
brought up, right? Looked like there was an offset distance to that corner of the parking lot. Was that a variance needed or something? What's the reason for
No,
that?
it's actually 30.4 feet. That's more than it needs to be.
Okay,
Can be 0 anyway.
it can't, okay.
There's no setback to a,
Well, then, never mind. The rear of building, you mentioned that there is sort of a buffer between the parking and the rear of the buildings, but those are all those access doors for the
Yeah, that's
smaller
what
stores.
was the whole point. It's just a striped area that allows the doors to swing and doesn't get the cars in the way, that's all.
Understood, but they also use, I assume they have some stuff delivered by trucks. Is there any concern about the size of those parking spaces? Should something be provided for their deliveries? I'm just asking the question.
Most of those are small box trucks and curbside, and they should be able to accommodate in here just fine.
Okay, the compactors that are back there now, I assume they look like they're for the smaller stores. What's happening with those?
Well, no, actually, today they sit here and here. We're just relocating them next to each other here.
They're gonna
remain.
They're gonna remain, okay. Sorry, I was taking notes as you were explaining it here. The architecture, what's the building facade? Is it significantly taller than current?
It's comparable to what's there today, and we can get into that in a minute.
Okay. From what I see from the renderings, it's rather contemporary. It's not bad, but it's contemporary. I'm wondering if that's particularly in keeping, when we get to that point, in keeping with the town's desire to move perhaps toward more, I think, as Carl, you were alluding to, the Southbury Mall, which has a bit more of a,
Are you
if
gonna show
I'm
us?
thinking of the right one.
You want to go to that?
It's a good time for us, that's a perfect segue for us.
the
to
Okay.
talk about the elevations.
Carla, you finished though? Carla, you finished?
Yeah, site distance issues as far as landscaping, which I mentioned before, be because there's a couple areas where the site distance with the existing plantings is awful.
Well, that's one that we did talk about, we need to take a look at that. I know exactly where you're talking about, it's as you're coming out, you can't even see to the right is what you're talking about.
Yeah, you come out to go to Baldwin Lane, and it's just like, I'm constantly wondering, I'm looking before I get there to see if anybody's
That's a
coming to
terrible
get out. And then you mentioned your stormwater quality, I think you had mentioned, was not changing going to the existing structure.
Correct.
But I'll leave this to the engineer for the specifics, but there's a volume issue too, because those things are designed based on volume, channel protection, all kinds of other things of the existing system now. So just if you're adding more drainage to the existing system, that will change the volume dynamic, right?
The question, did you hear that question?
Yes, we have a detention system that's going to offset that.
Okay, so,
So it is connecting to the existing system, but it's being detained first on the main parking
To deal
field
with
in
the
front of
peak
the
issues.
Stop and Shop.
okay, so you're gonna, all right. I'll leave that to Rich to get the details. And I think, sorry, just, yes, that was it. So, back to the facade, if you like.
So we have two aspects of this. We have the Stop and Shop facade, which we'll talk about first, and then we can talk about the facade for the balance of the building.
So hi, I'm Deborah Farr with Stop and Shop. The facade that you're seeing here is actually our brand-new prototype facade. This will be the very first one built, not only in New York, but also company-wide. I was able to pull it off the drawing board. It hasn't even been approved yet officially internally, so you guys are seeing it before anybody else. It's a product of an initiative that we started years ago in trying to reduce our carbon footprint. The sustainability is very important to us as a company because we see ourselves as, supermarkets. We're the heart of a community, and we have a responsibility to that community, not only in the products that we sell with the responsible resourcing on that and healthy living ideas, but also how we operate and how we build our stores. So the store that you see here today, the product that it's actually manufactured from is recycled material. It's a material that withstands the test of time that we've seen in the analysis, so it requires very little maintenance. It always looks good, which I think is important to a community, so it's not going to look like the facade needs to be repainted or refaced. There's wood elements to it and also some steel elements. The steel is also recyclable steel. I think the design of it is a very modern, clean look. We've seen it in a lot of other retailers. It's been very well received, this particular product. The store itself, we have actually gotten to an 18% or 18.6% reduction in our carbon footprint. Our goal is to be 20% by 2020. We started in 2008, so we're almost there, which is great. The equipment that we use inside the building is also very energy efficient, and we've been able to reduce the amount of energy by over it's almost 43 million kilowatts. And just to give you a point of reference, an average house in a year uses 11,000, and we've reduced it by almost 43 million kilowatts. The refrigeration system we use, the refrigerant material itself is now eco-friendly. We also, like the delivery trucks, we're using a natural gas-powered delivery trucks, not all of them, but we're converting a lot of the fleet to that. So we take that responsibility for the environment very seriously. I think the biggest thing for the building and the design is that it will be LEED certified. A lot of people don't know this, but the majority of our buildings from probably 2010 till now are LEED certified buildings. Now that's a big undertaking for a retailer. We're actually the #1 in the country, and we've received awards from the US government for that. It's a very expensive task personally for a company, but it's important to us that we do that. So we are striving, this building is being designed by a lead architect, and it will be built to to make LEED certification. So I think that's a bonus. So we're really...
Certified, are you going to achieve gold, silver, or platinum, or just a certified
Just a
level?
certification, if we can get more, because we're not doing we're only building our building. So a lot of lead points, if you've gone through it, is
Yep.
not just your building, but the entire center and so forth, so, yeah.
Need transportation hubs, you need a whole bunch of
Correct, there's a lot of, right, exactly, you've been through it before, yeah.
certified.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that's, I think that's important to us, and it's something I don't think, personally, as a company, we promote enough, because I don't think a lot of people know that, in addition to the equipment inside the store, so. Did you have any questions on it?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
So this is your new,
This is brand
Prototype?
new, yep.
how much flexibility do you have in that?
What don't you like about
No,
it?
I'm not saying that we don't, but as you may have heard earlier.
Yes.
This board has been charged with the tasks of what used to be the architectural board for the town.
Okay,
It's now the responsibility of this board, and this board is in the process of retaining an architectural consultant to help them on a regular basis.
Okay.
To deal with issues like that. And if there were a recommendation,
yep.
is there ability to be flexible to address that, or is this the best you'll do, and you're not gonna make changes, and that's, you
Well, it
take it or
depends on
leave
what
it?
the changes are. I mean, if they want to turn it into a completely different building, I think, that's something we need to talk about, because then you take all of the goals and incentives that we're trying to do with the materials and the design and the aesthetics, and it's going away.
So- so let me
If it's
just-
about color and so forth,
Well,
those are all things we
it
can
may
be
be
flexible.
something different, because
Yeah.
the only thing I can tell you is that our town board has tried to establish some general goals
Mm-hmm.
with respect to the architectural character of the town, and it's not modern.
Yeah.
It's more traditional, and that's not really what I'm seeing today. So there may be a little discussion that's warranted with respect to this, and it's just useful to know your willingness to engage in that conversation. That's really all I'm asking.
Well, I think what we would have to see specific comments before I can really answer that.
And looking,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was trying to find one online with Street View, but it's a complete shift from this, but the Stop and Shop, or Super Stop and Shop, I believe it is, up in Poughkeepsie, the town of, is more of a town square type, traditional appearance. This is, I like this
Thank you.
architecture myself. I
Yeah.
just don't think it's quite in keeping, as you've been pointed out, with the way the town was trying to go, and it's,
The town aesthetics that we're trying to
yeah,
achieve.
that's a really,
Well, I think also, if you look at it, and again, you're talking about an entire shopping center.
yeah.
You're not talking about a standalone store.
Right.
So everything has to flow together. So the idea of the entire shopping center having a modern look on it is not, I don't believe, the direction that the town's looking to go. And again, I brought up Southbury.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a beautiful shopping center and a whole concept of an area of how they designed it, with shingle-type roofs, again, facades and stuff that all made it
Gables,
look
things like
like, I think, what the direction of this town is trying to go,
Do you have something that shows the facade of the existing buildings?
And that's the other
What
part
you're
of it, too,
proposing.
is without looking at the plaza as it stands now and trying to.
No, what they're proposing, I meant.
No, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying.
This building.
Because this is just this building.
Yeah, yes, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the rest of the center, yeah.
We do. We have it, but let me preface it with a few comments. It is very much a work in process, and the elevation that we submitted because we had to submit an elevation, and it was an elevation that this board had previously approved. So, believe it or not. So that's what you have before you for the balance of the center.
Can I
It
stop
is
you,
not-
can I stop you right there?
It is not what we want to
You're not looking at the board that approved this the last time. This is just like the town is different, so is this board.
No, and that's-
Its ideas is gonna be different. And I don't think they're gonna be drastic trying to get you to drastically go out of the step, but they want you to kind of step forward what we want to do also in the town. And we are only looking out for the town.
No, understood, and,
Yeah.
and I just want you to understand, because we don't expect that that elevation that we submitted is an elevation that you would approve. It's not one that we want to construct. We had to have an elevation for the rest of the center because it is in our mind to do that. And I fully expected if I came without anything and didn't comment about the rest of the center, you'd be.
We advise you to do
really
that,
don't-
actually.
You really don't expect us to not
But you
talk
got,
about the rest
but
of
you
the
got to
center.
understand something. Once you put that up there, it's hard for us to get it out of our mind.
Well, but we,
That's
but I had to give you
just a
something to
fact.
talk
It's a
about.
starting point.
Yeah.
No, but I had to give it, I have to put something on the table instead of saying to you, okay, go design my facade. So we had to put something out there. We are working with architects in kind of formulating the design, but understand we're caught between a rock and a hard place, and it's this. We don't know what elevation will be approved for Stop and Shop. So before we go to the expense and the exercise of doing a design that you may find completely unacceptable, we wanted to get feedback. Absolutely. And so, and what I'm hearing
I
from
just
you,
want to stop you there, because we don't really know what we want. But we know we want an architect to come and look at our, and to realize what is in our town and what the town wants. And then we want to talk to you about it. And that person, he or she, will speak for this board. Because we will meet with him, and then he will be the one that will set. And it's not, we're not gonna have a gathering, that you have to come up and take a gathering of all different kind of ideas. You'll have one idea. Of course, the person who we be talking to that we're gonna be paying, he won't have one idea. We will give him ideas,
understood.
but he will be the spokesman.
And that's fine, and I think,
And I think you will enjoy that better.
well, we have to start, we had to start somewhere. I mean, we had to start somewhere. But what I also hear from you is, and we have to figure out how to manage this. I hear traditional. I hear this is not what you had anticipated. But I have seen instances where we have taken modern and contemporary and traditional and merged them together. And maybe that's what we're gonna be able to work at.
Sure.
I mean, our client, I think, within reason and as long as it's affordable, our client has an open mind as to what the facade can be for the rest of the center. We want it to work.
Sure.
We want it to be attractive. We want people to come there. We want people to spend their money. And we don't want anybody to feel like, why did they spend all of that time and end up with this? We really want a good product. And so in my mind, what I'm thinking about is we've got to figure out a way to mesh the contemporary and the traditional in a way that you'll find acceptable and the way we can get the project moving. And we will need the
Could be as simple
assistance
as toning
of
down
our
colors.
professional architect and the representative of the board's architect.
That's fair enough.
And do you know when you're going to have an architect on board?
Not quite sure, we're in the process.
Okay. Is it?
We will,
Is it the next couple of?
we will
months?
have an,
Yeah.
It is, okay.
we will have an architect right when you need him.
I mean, originally when we met with staff, our idea was not to come in at all with the facade.
I think you did a great job.
Because
Yeah.
we didn't know what it was going to be, and we didn't want to design it twice.
That's the reason we don't want to get a whole bunch, because we all have different ideas. But we have to put our ideas with somebody who's gonna represent us. And then he's the spokesman. He deals with you.
Otherwise you get 7 different opinions.
The other thing I want to point out about this facade for Stop and Shop is, if you're familiar with a lot of their others, the other prototype had a lot of signage on it for Stop and Shop, and there's been a move towards really streamlining the signage, which I hope you'll embrace. And we don't have the sign plan yet for Stop and Shop. I'm anticipating that we may need a sign variance, a size variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Many of the signs in that center have those variances. And we have identified that in our submission materials, but I can't articulate to you what the deviation is sitting here now. But I do want to point out it's a much cleaner line in terms of signage as well, on this facade, and I think that's a big improvement. A lot of the boards that we've appeared before have not embraced the sign package that Stop and Shop had in prior, in prior years, and I personally think it's a very attractive one.
You're only going to sign one side of the building,
Yes.
not the side facing Baldwin Lane?
I don't think you'll be able to see it with the
That's good.
evergreens.
That's a good reason for you to explain why you need a bigger sign.
Yeah.
Because
That
you're not
and
going,
that
you
and the
would be
scale of
entitled
the
to one.
building and that it's set back.
You would be
Yeah.
entitled to one on Baldwin Lane, so
I don't know if you can see this from that distance. There are additional signs here, and if you're familiar with Stop and Shop often have a bank within it, a
See?
coffee vendor. In this instance, I don't see.
Starbucks.
Yes, the Starbucks and logo is on the right-hand side. There will be Peapod. Are you familiar with the Peapod?
Are you gonna have that operation from here?
It doesn't distribute from here. What
Okay,
it
that's
is
the
it's a
question.
pickup place, so, yeah.
So you won't have.
You won't need to
10
park.
delivery
There's no
vehicles?
delivery vans here, correct.
They're just lockers that, and we have to add this to the site plan, but they're lockers that go in the front of the building and to keep it for refrigeration purposes.
They're not refrigerated, Jerry.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I guess
The coolers are
I'm sorry. So,
What is
so the signs here have to do not with anything but the other operations that are within, and vendors that are within the building. So again, I
I like
think
to feel my
it's a
fruit.
much bigger line of signs.
I do.
Bottle recycling and such like that's inside?
Yes, it's all inside.
Maybe, since you did prepare this elevation, maybe you could just talk a little bit to these materials. What are we talking about in green materials? What
Okay.
exactly are they?
So the gray, or not the gray, yeah, the gray material that you see, it's a composite material. It's recycled building materials, concrete. And then it can be textured any way that you like it. It can be colored any way you like it. This is a natural wood material to, just to give you that, more of an eco feeling. The brown that you see here is the same material, but it's got a different finish to it. So it's meant to look like a wood material. So I
Yeah,
think
like a hardy board
Almost.
type
like
product?
a hardy board type product, correct. So I think when you're asking, are there elements that we could change? Absolutely. So
Especially
instead
colors and
of, and
textures.
the colors, and instead of having it be, kind of this more modern texture to it, you could do it so it looks like clapboard siding, I suppose, if you wanted, or the coloring to be more colonial grays or so forth.
The grays are block in between, is that what the columns are?
Yes, that's the same material, so it looks like it's block, but it's really that composite
that's also
recycled
composite
material.
material,
Yeah,
too?
it's an
So
amazing
the whole front of the
material.
building is really just a composite type material?
Correct,
it's a
correct.
steel building, and then they just throw
Oh,
whatever
so
they.
these are- this is not a block building, it's a metal building with,
Correct.
the
Correct.
structure's a metal building with,
Yep, so it gives
siding on
you,
it?
because typically when you see the sides and the back of a large building like ours, it's all the CMU, it's all the
usually block, right?
painted
Split
block,
face block
which
versus
isn't
inverted
very attractive, and there's not a lot you can do other than paint it. This material, you can make it look like whatever you want it to look like. And it's indestructible. I mean, you don't need to maintain it. I think that's the beauty of it.
Check the website out, it's kind of interesting, the
Yeah.
different materials.
Yeah.
And they have it for residential as well as commercial.
What website would this be? Your website?
No, it's, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's Nichia,
Nichia, yep.
Nichiha, I think it is.
Yeah, I think you put it in the
Yeah,
application.
it's written right on the
Yeah.
site plan application.
Yep.
in the
So you
materials.
could do like a fieldstone look, like maybe the base of fieldstone and then like a colonial gray above it to give you more of a feel. So those types of things we could do.
Yeah, we had a McDonald's application, the chairman felt it important to have that fieldstone
Yeah,
approach.
fieldstone
They were
looks
happy
nice.
to do that for
Yep,
us.
yep.
Came out pretty nice.
So the most important part for you is to use that product, but not necessarily the look of it.
Yeah, the look, right, it's more of the product.
Perfect.
and the elevation I'm sorry, the elevation we're gonna really see on this is just this front, right? Most of this is behind the building as it is today, right? We're
Correct.
not
The
gonna-
left side is very visible.
The Baldwin Place side, right? The
Baldwin
Lane.
Lane is visible.
Be this side.
Correct.
That's actually really important, that side, right?
That's the two sides. The front and that side are going to be the two that are going to be most, I know they're all important, but
And-
those are
and
going to be
again,
the two that
I'm-
you really,
I'm assuming this is just a you know, a boilerplate drawing, because there's gonna be a
Correct. It
building right
is.
next to us,
Correct.
right?
One of them
So-
has an adjacent building.
Right, we're not
Yeah,
gonna,
no,
we're not
this
gonna
is
walk
just,
around
like I
and
said,
Standalone.
Cookie
they were
cutter.
pretty mad, because I'm like, no, just give it to me, and I pulled it right out of the press, so.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
Along the front, are those all full-height windows?
Yes. And that's another component for us, is to have a lot of natural light, because that reduces the amount of lighting that you see in the store. So that, you know, that's something else we can look at, to put mullions, more mullions in there to give it more of a colonial feel.
So those are full-height windows with like a awning roof, is that?
With the louvers.
The louvers hang down in front of them.
Yep.
Well, the reason I was asking, it was less about the colonial appearance part, but is it 24/7 operation, essentially?
Well, ideally, we'd like to do 24, because we're in the store 24 hours, because we do our stocking overnight. But I think what we proposed here, because the other stores that we have in this county are 6 a.m. till midnight for public access. But the employees are in there 24/7.
Okay, so, again, the reason for the question there is light spilled from inside at night, outside, and the appearance of a, you know,
Yeah, I think
So if
that's
there's
why
something
you
that
can
can
see
be-
there's a shading on the glass that they do. It's a filter material, and then the louvers.
Quick question on the Starbucks, so will you have seating inside for the Starbucks?
Well,
then?
first of all, it's not confirmed Starbucks, because Starbucks picks and chooses
Yep.
where they go in.
But if
This
you
is
were
a
to have a partner
prototype,
like
so
that in the
they
building-
usually do have some seating, yeah.
Would you also expand that seating for your own
Yeah,
operate?
for
like the-
exactly, for people who want to sit and have a
So if I-
muffin or,
Or if I wanted to go to your salad bar, I could then eat
Yes.
my dinner in your facility? I know
Yes.
that's a big thing for like the Whole Foods.
Yes.
They provide
Yep.
100 seats in
Yep.
front of their stores.
just
So
wish
you'll
we
be doing-
sold salads like Whole Foods, but yes.
But because it is a design shopping
Boss
center,
isn't
that's
here, is
perfectly
he?
fine.
But I want to clarify that. So that is, it's an operational issue that we need to know more about. So let us know the size, where that's occurring, how many seats, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that now adds sort of a restaurant component, so to speak, to your supermarket.
and with that, is there any exterior cafe, outdoor seating,
No.
something like that?
No, no.
Rooftop
But that's where you put the pool.
Yeah, the pool.
That's where they grow the vegetables.
Hopefully, there's no pool up there. The architect does his job.
If you do a green roof, you might be able to.
Yeah,
right?
put some grass up there.
Okay,
Have to
moving
be able to
on.
hold the pool, the whole day. It's an acre.
Moving
I've
on.
done it once on a project.
One in Mayapack, it's very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the other, let me just turn it, and maybe Mr. Heidenberg can just comment to you. The other elevation, and we're not.
Microphone?
Yes, please.
Yeah, you actually do.
For the tape.
Hi, I'm Robert Heidenberg. I just wanted to piggyback on what Jerry said in terms of our willingness to work with you in creating a look that you're happy with and that we're happy with, and that it will be a collaborative and cooperative effort. And we're looking forward to making our shopping center look new and pretty and up to date. The only request that I make is that we'd like to move the process along. So as soon as you can bring somebody on to start working with us, we would like that, because we are anxious to clean up the property, clean up the parking lot. When I say clean up, redo it. And so we are excited about the project, but we'd like to move ahead as well.
We will have someone in 2016.
I'm sorry?
2016, we will have someone.
A few short weeks away. There you go.
Perfect, okay, we're ready.
To the first.
So I appreciate the opportunity. I just wanted to emphasize that point, that we are willing to work with you. We want to work with you, and we'd like to make it better and move it along.
I think it would be much easier for you to work with one person than with 7.
Definitely is.
Definitely. If we can work with one, it's much easier than working with a committee.
Well, especially when it comes to architecture. or
Correct.
any kind of design.
Opinions.
Sure.
So that was, and that wasn't planned, but that was a perfect segue for me to just talk to you about next steps. This is subject to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA. There are many agencies involved. We'd like to get that process started. I'm assuming your board would want to be the lead agency. of that environmental review, if you want to do a coordinated environmental review. We've provided you with the paperwork that you need, so I'm hoping that we might make some progress tonight. If you think you want to serve as a lead agency and you want to do a coordinated environmental review, if you would let everybody else know so that their 30-day clock can start to tick. And
I'm sure that that's right on the planner's mind. He was gonna tell us we'll have to vote for lead agency. He's pretty up there.
good. And then any other, I mean, I know there are other referrals that need to be made. I did want to make mention of the fact that we did send our materials to the fire department, to the fire chief. Hopefully he received them. We had gotten some guidance from Ms. Trombetta about the best way to get them there. Instead of using a P.O. box, we actually got a street address. So hopefully that material's been out there. So if we can, any progress we can make on referrals too, we're happy to start moving with that as well.
They cannot go to the ZBA yet until we get the sign areas and things like that, so we have to hold that part yet.
They have went a long ways. So we all want to try to travel together in 2016, so we got some things we got to do to get there.
First step, Mr. Chairman, would be to designate lead agency. We can coordinate the referrals as we move forward.
We will, but I figure I want them to be finished with their presentation.
That's your hint, Jerry.
We are.
Right, there you go. She's learning, right?
Smart lady.
It's working
No,
out real
we
well.
are. I mean, that's why I was trying to wrap up.
And you,
Get you out of here.
and it was a very, very good presentation. And we are going to try in every way we can to help you and to move it along for you. We don't hold you up, we just want things to go so that when we get finished, everybody's happy with it and pleased with what it's gonna look like. Pat, you usually have a resolution.
Yeah, all we need tonight, Mr. Chairman,
Lead agent, but do you want us to do it without the
you
resolution?
can, it's just the administrative act. So you can take a motion to designate
You don't
lead
have to do
agency.
that.
We'll circulate the notice.
That's an intent, correct?
It's just intent. You'll
The
confirm it.
intent to declare
Yeah.
lead agent.
I will make a motion to intent to declare lead agency on the Lake Plaza Shopping Center LLC, tax map number 65.10-1-45 and 46.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pat, you'll draw that up though,
sir.
right? Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And we will, through the planner,
It's two different.
we will get back to you
I think she's wrong.
when we're gonna come to the next meeting, and we will get back to you on who will contact you in dealing with us as an architectural review board.
Great, because we do,
Okay.
I know we have some more materials that we need to put together and submit, and we're gonna work on that diligently. We wanna position ourselves to be able to get to the Environmental Conservation Board as soon as possible. I don't know if that's anything that we could do at this point, or
Next meeting.
we'll wait
Next,
next meeting.
one more.
Okay, so we will do that, so have a nice holiday, Happy
too.
New Year.
Thank you, same to
Thank
you,
You gotta get
each and every one of you.
Yes, we will do that as well.
That's
And then
probably the thing you gotta do the soonest.
And you're free to do that.
You don't need our referral. You can go to the E DEP.
Understood, but now that you're going to be making the lead agent, notice of lead agency designation and sending it out to DEP, that's a perfect invitation for us to be able to do
Yep.
that as well, so, very good.
The next meeting just is gonna be the 13th, is that correct? In January?
Yeah.
January.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
January 13th.
We have to have that person in place by then.
Yeah, we should, hopefully.
Wait, there's still more. Agenda item in there. Leave it, I'm gonna. You still got one.
No mas.
Home porch, huh?
No mas.
Well, you must have planned it to be advanced. Paul, you still here? I figured you went home. Granted this earlier.
Believe me, he's down
If they were done, you could've went to Starbucks.
We waited for Paul before, he could wait for us.
don't worry about it. This application's been in front of us, I don't know, I think we were in high school, weren't we, Paul?
Years.
I was.
Are we allowed to say, oh, no, not this one?
I definitely was.
Yeah, I think you were.
The,
I'm getting old.
last item on the agenda is Old Forge Estates. We went through this the last time.
Yep.
Tell-
We
Michael?
wanted an explanation because of we were all okay with the
I don't
reapproval.
think there's anything we had to do, right, except he's gonna give us a report.
Yeah, you wanted an explanation because of the new board members.
Okay, can you tell us what you have done?
Yes, I was just going to present the project to the board so that they were
Good night.
familiar with what they were, asking to vote on. This is a 45-acre lot located on Baldwin Place Road, opposite the high school. There are three wetlands located along Baldwin Place Road. There are two old crossings that existed to get access to the property. We were using one of those crossings for our main access. As you work your way up the property, there was another small wetland in this area. The stream actually wraps around here, and this is the large wetland that's located on top of the hill. So the road was developed as serpentine to get up the hill to get to the back of the property, and we developed it as a 10-lot subdivision. The smallest lot is 120,000 square feet. The other lots are obviously larger. So that's the basic breakdown of what the project was.
Where's the access to this? Right across from the high school?
Yes,
Right here.
to the left of Muscoot Road.
One of the driveways to the high
When you
school.
go out of the high school, right, the exit of the high school?
Nope, the exit of high school is Glenida. The one to the left is Muscoot, and then to the left of that. So it'd be, do you know where Mr. Greenberg lives?
Yes, I do.
His backyard.
This is
Oh, so there's a
Carl.
road in between there.
This is this is the Greenwood property here, so
Oh,
it's
so you're coming up from, I got you, so that actually.
back
would be a
towards the
neighbor.
traffic
I got
light.
you.
Correct.
This is, we're gonna put a church up, it's the other side of this, right?
The church would be, yes.
Yeah, I know where you are, I know where you are, I know exactly where, yeah.
But this was approved as a larger, or same size, but more lot subdivision in the past. And then I guess you couldn't put was there a sewer system or
There
something?
was going to be a sewage package treatment plant
There
on
you
the
go.
Oh, so you
property.
can't
and
do
that-
those sewage.
They weren't able
you
to
can't
do it,
those
so they had
anymore.
to realign it and change
Shut
it.
everything down.
So if you look at the tax maps right now, all of the lots are laid out in the small, what they were approved for. Because it was actually filed, but they never actually built the
Correct.
plan.
You know, that thing originally had a lot of lots.
A lot of lots.
No, it did.
I think they were half-acre lots, if I remember correctly.
Oh, it was
Right?
a big.
Or three-quarters.
I think it was like 40 lots originally.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Huge.
What size are the lots now on average?
Well, this is the smallest lot, it's 120,000 square feet. I'm going to say the average is probably somewhere around 130,000.
Almost 3 acres.
3 acres plus. Right, 40,000.
You said there was gonna be 10?
Not true acres, the builder's acres, but yes.
Wasn't there something else he was supposed to do for us?
Give an explanation, because we had so many new members that you just wanted because we've been re-granting things.
Oh, yeah.
Just wanted an explanation
We got-
so that the board would understand a little bit better, instead of just hearing us say, we have no objections, there have been no changes, they don't know what was there before.
We got a little tied up with the extension compared to reapproval. This was actually a little education for us, right?
This is a reapproval right now.
Reapproval, so it's, technically what he
Starting
did
new,
is
right?
he made a new submission and went through all the process, right? I mean, basically, that's what he did, because you're only entitled to one extension of approval. After that, you have to get a re-grant, so that's what he's doing.
Is this septic up there, I assume?
They're individual septics.
Yeah, that's why.
Came before the ECB a couple
Yes.
of years ago for the septic test process.
No,
Drilling wells, maybe? Weren't there,
no, that was not us.
they weren't doing wells for the water system up there?
No, not us.
No, for the town water system. Weren't they testing up there at one time?
No, the water main was extended and goes through the property.
Oh,
That was
maybe.
probably done about 5 years ago, I think.
Could that have been it, Carl? Water main?
Is this community well, or is it individual wells?
Water system, I think, number 13, because there was an extension done that came through here, and then comes down, and it comes across and ties into the residences down, whatever their water district was
So
over.
this will tie into that district?
Yes. Well, actually, yeah, the water main already exists. 'Cause, the applicants had put that in as part of what they were doing.
So is the reapproval for a year?
Now, wait a minute. If you're happy with it, that's fine. But you gotta understand, you come in with that today, you go right out the door. You couldn't get it approved. That's what you gotta consider. Do you think that, the thing you gotta think of now, where it is there, is that fit that community down there? Is it okay?
Why do you say wood go out the door? If I can ask?
I think there's a lot of things on there that won't pass. As far as I'm speaking, I'm not asking Pat, or Mike, or any of them. I think there's a lot of things on there would change. It would pass, but it wouldn't pass with them and the lots, and with the lots that they got in there probably. It'll be questionable. I'm just telling you that.
Because of the wetlands and this kind of thing?
When was this original,
That's your act, so-
87, I think, the first time.
87?
When they did the first subdivision was in the 80s, because I think we said I was in
Yeah.
school at the time, or I was graduating high school at the time.
Wow.
School wasn't there.
I don't know if it goes back that high school.
I graduated that year.
Now you're pushing.
But I'm just to tell you you don't have to deny it, but maybe somewhere you want to change.
So, but in this form, not the 40 lot subdivision, right? In this form, how long has it been here? It's been in front of the board?
7 years?
I think the process started probably back in 2005 or 6.
No, I
Okay,
think
so
it's
And then we
been
got
10
final
years.
approval somewhere
No,
around
no,
12.
no. It's been there more than 10 years,
In this form?
right there.
And latter.
Well, there should be a date on your map, no?
What's his intention? What are they gonna build?
There you go, 10 years.
It's 10 years.
10 years, right?
What are the stormwater management controls here?
Actually, probably shows it better on this drawing.
Mike. Mike.
There's
you
a
can get
pond here,
septic
we have
in
a
there.
pond here, we have another pond over here. And this was designed and I think was approved with
They
general
did?
permit 6.
Okay.
So they met the 06 or 08. Actually, would have been the 08 requirements.
They have a permit for it already, approved, stormwater permit for it.
Okay, but it's coming back to us, and I'm just wondering if that is,
They have an approved permit, there's no way we're gonna go back and ask them to bring it up, they have a permit, they don't have to do anything.
Until that expires,
As long as they pay $100 fee every year,
Won't
that thing
expire.
will last for 1,000,000 years.
there you go.
As long as they pay it for 1,000,000 years.
There you go.
but they're looking, but now they're looking for a reapproval, not an extension, of this.
And they already have the permit that would be required.
So if you, Carl, if you have specific questions.
Well, just what, I mean, there's new stormwater requirements, right? The 2010,
And he should defend that for you. So if you have
That's right.
concerns about the wetland crossings.
That is all it is.
Paul will have to tell you the answers. And if it is something that's already permitted, he'll let you know. And if it's something that is discretionary that you should make a judgment on now with respect to this reapproval, you should be aware of that. So if you have questions, we need to take a timeout and bring them to the applicant.
So can I just, has stormwater regulation changed significantly in that period?
They have, yes. But if you were building and you had received coverage under that, you could have received coverage under the permits from 1993. As long as you pay your annual fee, that design still
Stays.
holds.
Okay.
It's a little quip in the law that they have over there. The administrative aspects of it, the inspections and all the other requirements, the administrative actions, they change. The design and the way it's built does not change. It's just how it is. It's a quirk in the law.
well, yeah, but, I'll get into an area, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm just wondering, you know, if he's looking for reapproval, we know that it doesn't meet current stormwater standards. Is there a?
Be careful.
Yeah.
He has a legal right to what Paul is showing you right now. And he can abandon that or lost it.
Okay. Have you
Can't
considered?
comment, you really can't comment on it until you deny it and tell them to present it over.
Right,
Right.
right.
You can't, he's not gonna go back and change it now. So you either got, the question is, is it suitable where it's at right now for 2015?
And that's what I'm, that's
That's the
precisely the question I'm asking
Yeah.
in terms of stormwater. You know,
And perhaps Joe should weigh in on this, so the question.
I would hope so.
almost made it, you almost did it.
So that obviously, the question becomes, what if you let it expire? Say we're not gonna consider it's a discretionary approval on your part, let it expire, and now all the new regulations would be triggered. Have you outfoxed the applicant by doing that? And by doing that, are you, extending your appropriate authority in reviewing a pending application?
But why would we do that?
I understand. That's why I'm saying Joe probably should weigh in on that. So I think
Unless you can be very consistent.
Let me weigh in for
Yeah,
Joe.
we better do this every time.
Let me lead Joe into the
You better
conversation.
look back quick.
Darn microphone, so. But, you know, it's the area. Anything that, just take it. Anything in that area that you think that's, needs protection? If you know the area, I know the area.
It's a big wetland at the bottom of the hill, right in front of the high school.
Yeah,
You know, will it fit?
Put the same development 100 yards down
They
the
can
road.
put it, can they, can you put a time limit on those?
Anyway?
Time limit. 1 year, right?
So,
1 year.
yeah,
1 year.
No, it's a subdivision, so it'd be
It's
180
subdivision.
days. Their approval would be for 100 days.
Hear my recommendation?
It's 1 year for final.
For site plan, not for
My,
subdivision.
my 1 year is that you're a little puzzled about it. And that's very understandable, very understandable. Let it go for another year, but next time you look at this. Because, you know, and Paul knows that him and I both know, he'll be back here next year.
It's a good strategy, right, to lay it out there, you got one time to do it, and
Well, I
Do it or
will,
not.
in all honesty, I will be back in 6 months.
Oh, he'll be back.
And I'm telling you that.
You're entitled to
because
that.
Right, and again, I go
I
with my
have to
basic.
retest with the health department. There's a window.
You already
on-
expired
on
on-
perk test, so
You
I have,
expired on the.
My-
I have to
And then you may want, then, in the meantime, you're on the board, you look at it. You look at all these things that's, and is this the only one out there that's gonna come back like this?
Probably that's gone through this many evolutions over the years, and
Yeah.
been so long.
But some more that's got a little length to them, haven't they?
They're absolutely.
So you need to pick them out and look at them.
right. And you gotta start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions, I think. So we've obviously changed the architectural review board at this point, right? So does this type of application go through no architecture, because it's residential?
Site-
Right.
site subdivision.
So to basically you can build whatever house you want on every
Well,
lot,
it's
right?
really difficult to tell people what kind of house to build.
I understand, I'm just
And
trying to,
If you want a house and your neighbor has the house, you can tell them they can't build the same house.
I'm just trying to,
No, I'm saying, but that-
I'm just trying to understand what changed
that's what our board was
administratively
doing, yeah.
since this
I
time,
don't-
right?
Or commercial.
Right.
I don't think that was ever addressed with what was changed. Because that was really never a preview of this board to begin with.
correct.
And I don't think that's.
Right, so it's really not a change, right?
You
So-
guys-
No, there were, not going too deep, there were architectural things that this board did have control over throughout the years. On an individual subdivision, individual housing was not one of them.
That's correct. You had
In fact, even
rectangles.
to the extent of the placement of houses. You know, when you do a site plan, it doesn't mean that house has to be
Usually gotta
placed
fit
in
in a
that
box.
location.
Right, it's gotta go in a box
the
somewhere.
setback
It's gotta
envelope.
be,
Yeah, so, yeah, in the box.
it's gotta be within that lot, within the
Setback
setbacks, you know,
envelope, yes.
you're not making it that detailed of an approval.
I'm just trying to get an education here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what are the changes from the time that this was approved in 2000, whatever it was, 5? Stormwater, that's the big issue.
And physical changes on the site could have been the wetlands have gotten bigger or smaller, or done whatever wetlands.
Right, we haven't any zoning changes, nothing along those lines, right, that would,
Not
So
since
the
this.
road, the site engineering improvements of those improvements that Paul is showing you, none of that's changing.
But if you've taken this from scratch, always remember one thing. You're taking it from scratch, and you're just coming up through the planning board and through the architecture review board. If you were to make suggestions to the applicant, he would listen.
Right.
If some things he's not bound by, but you have that
I
right
understand it, but here he doesn't because he's
Yeah.
already done it once.
that
It's
you
hard,
can-
it's
you
hard to
can-
go
you
back
can
and ask him
make-
to do it all.
Make suggestions to him, and you know, most likely all will, maybe
So,
to
can
try
we
to
do a
accommodate you.
conditional, reapproval that this is the last reapproval without, can you do something like that?
Say that.
Asking a question.
I will go to my standard question, which is why the delay? What's the reason why we're back for another reapproval?
There's two things. One is the health department having to reach out, percolation.
Well, that you allowed to lapse.
But
It really has nothing to do with
it's
it.
partnership.
Paul, stay away from that one.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
had
might
10
wanna-
years to get
Yeah,
that.
Uh,
you might want to stay away from that.
So don't burn it as a reason.
There's two partners.
He hasn't got the money to put it right now.
Doesn't have the money.
Doesn't have the money.
Financial.
When were these
Easy answer.
wetlands surveyed and certified?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I think a long time ago, Paul. It's not recent. It's probably back when he came back with the revised plan, 10 years ago.
10 years.
We need a motion to grant. 6 months?
It would be 6 months.
6 months extension. Need a motion.
I will make the motion.
You get a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, what was the?
Let's clarify.
I didn't hear
Grant
what the
for 6
motion
months.
was.
6 month, re-grant
months.
the approval for 6 months. Basically, we're tabling this for 6 months because Harold's saying it's not gonna happen anyway.
Pat, call the roll.
Dave? Dave?
Yes.
Carl?
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure.
So the motion is to re-grant for the 6-month period that's permitted in the code. After 6 months, the applicant would have to return to you to ask for an extension or to modify his plan, whatever he chooses to do. So you're giving him another 6 months.
Yeah, but if it's reapproval now, then it's an extension. That's a different animal.
That goes 6 more months.
And then he'd be back to reapprovals.
But we had this discussion last time that reapproval is significantly different than extension.
But we're at now, right? We're at reapproval now.
Yes, but if we reapprove now, then
Then in 6 months, he gets an extension.
It would be harder to
Right.
deny the extension in 6 months.
Then it is the reapproval, correct?
And it's reaffirmed.
Yes.
He's getting a year, basically buying a year.
nay. Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you.
Can we get a motion to accept the minutes?
It's hours.
Are we doing them the way that we were outlined doing them?
Do them as one slate? Can we do them as one?
That sounds good to me.
Can we adopt the minutes?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And quicker.
I'd like to make a motion for the Town of Carmel Planning Board minutes for meetings held on July 8th, 2015, July 22nd, 2015, August 5th, 2015, August 26th, 2015, September 16th, 2015, September 30th, 2015, October 14th, 2015, and November 18th, 2015.
I'll second them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cut things
Planning
off.
office secretaries for catching up on the minutes.
Good job.
For the effort.
And what we're gonna do is,
Have to end the meeting,
we
right?
wanna talk about that.
We want to adjourn.
Did we do?
No.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.